to save her fiancé. This girl had to join a religious cult, but she had no idea that place would turn into a living hell. In 1973, a wave of political protests swept through Chile. The country had become entangled in the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. The U.S. government aimed to remove Chilean President Salvador Allende from power. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets to support him. Chile stood on the brink of civil war. A Lufthansa plane lands at Santiago Airport. A flight attendant named Lena asks the passengers to prepare for disembarkation. Meanwhile, a German journalist named Daniel is actively campaigning in Chile in support of the current president. The flight crew is granted 4 days off to rest and prepare for their next flight. The crew's car ends up in the middle of a protest. Lena spots Daniel in the crowd. It turns out he's her lover. Lena jumps out of the car and rushes toward Daniel. The man is overjoyed to see his girlfriend and kisses her tenderly. They have 4 whole days to spend together, and they don't waste a single minute. That evening, Lena and Daniel head to a local club where another political rally is taking place. Daniel takes part as well. He's deeply concerned about Chile's future. Morning comes. Daniel is making breakfast while Lena snaps photos of him. They're playful, carefree, and delighted together. Daniel develops the film he shot during the protests and rallies. A few personal photos of the loving couple are among the images. In the afternoon, the phone rings in Daniel's apartment. He answers and learns that a military coup has just taken place in Chile. Power has been seized by the dictator Augusto Pinochet. Now, Daniel risks arrest for his political beliefs. The couple immediately flees their apartment. Chaos reigns in the streets. Soldiers are searching civilians, looking for Allende supporters. Daniel secretly takes several photos. He sees that many of his comrades have already been arrested. As they try to flee, the military men open fire. When one of the soldiers notices Daniel filming, he takes off after him. The couple is quickly surrounded. Their camera is confiscated. Daniel is thrown to the ground and beaten with batons. He and Lena are arrested and taken to where other detainees are being held. They're all brought to a large national stadium. A military helicopter lands on the field. New authorities have arrived. A man with a black hood over his head points out Allende supporters. Many of them are executed on the spot. The hooded man singles out Daniel. Soldiers immediately grab him and throw him into a bus. Lena is released. She returns to Daniel's apartment and finds it completely ransacked. Daniel regains consciousness in a dark basement and realizes he's been stripped and tied to a hospital bed. His captors demand the names of his associates and even use electric shocks to force answers out of him. Lena finds some of Daniel's comrades and tells them what happened to the man she loves. She learns that he's been sent to a place called Colonia Dignidad. Officially, it's presented as a charitable organization, but in reality, it's a secret prison where detainees are tortured and used for human experiments. Lena is determined to rescue her boyfriend, but Daniel's comrades say there's nothing they can do. They are going underground. Meanwhile, the torture intensifies. Daniel is hanging by a thread, barely alive. One day, an older man with long gray hair enters his cell and promises that the torment will stop. Lena begins investigating the mysterious Colonia Dignidad. She learns it is run by a ruthless preacher named Paul Schaefer and secretly funded by the government itself. Determined to rescue the man she loves, Lena decides to infiltrate the colony by posing as a devout believer. She leaves a letter for her pilot friend, explaining she won't be flying back. The girl makes her way to the Colonia Dignidad and sees that its territory is surrounded by a tall, imposing fence. Lena knocks at the gate and they let her in. The protagonist lies, claiming she wants to join the workers of the colony to serve God and fulfill her spiritual duty. All her personal belongings are taken from her. A tearful young boy enters the room, but Lena is strictly forbidden from speaking to him. The protagonist is summoned for a meeting with the colony's leader, Paul Schaefer. The man is arrogant, domineering, and disturbingly self-assured. He orders Lena to take off her robe and blouse, declaring that modest, God-fearing girls don't wear such beautiful underwear. Schaefer sniffs her, then yells, embraces her, and finally agrees to accept her into the sect. Sister Gisela informs Lena that men and women in the colony live strictly apart and shows Lena to her bed. Well, the conditions are shockingly austere. Lena quietly gazes at a photo of herself and Daniel, hidden inside the cross she wears around her neck. She's introduced to the other female workers. They're cold and silent, except for one girl who's oddly eager to chat. Before bed, all women are forced to take communion. Lena suspects it's laced with some kind of psychoactive drug. The next day, all the women gather for a sermon, though it feels more like a gathering of fanatic cultists. Meanwhile, Daniel is transferred to the colony's medical wing. The attending doctor believes the poor man has suffered brain damage from the beatings and is now a vegetable. But in fact, Daniel is faking it. He's only pretending to be mentally impaired. Lena is sent to work in the fields. The labor is hard, and she nearly collapses from exhaustion. For that, she receives several lashes across the back and is assigned even more duties. A week passes. Another deranged sermon begins, led by the madman Schaefer himself. Men and women are kept strictly apart, only allowed to see each other during a special parade. Schaefer stages a grotesque performance, trying to resurrect a dead man in front of the congregation. The entire event feels like a collective psychosis. A month passes. Daniel continues pretending to be mentally ill and even manages to get a small job in the colony. Now everyone calls him Hans. When no one is watching, he secretly searches the rooms, hoping to find a way to escape. Lena keeps working in the fields. One night, one of her roommates, Dorothea, is taken away. Lena quietly follows them. She sees Dorothea brought into a men's assembly. The residents of the colony mock the woman and then suddenly attack her with their fists, allegedly to drive the devil out of her. One of the men notices someone peeking through the window. Lena quickly runs back to her room. Soon after, a furious Schaefer appears and punishes Gisela, who was supposed to keep order. The next day, the women are told that Dorothea has fallen seriously ill and is now in the infirmary. Lena decides she needs to get into the men's assembly too. To do that, she has to commit a serious offense. Lena notices a lake near the field. She undresses and dives into the water. Naturally, such a sin earns her a visit to another men's assembly. She looks for Daniel in the crowd, but at that moment, he is secretly sneaking through the colony, trying to find a way out, so he doesn't attend the meeting. Lena realizes the men are about to beat her, and they do. The entire crowd descends upon her. The girl is saved only when the colony's alarm suddenly goes off. Daniel is trying to escape. Unfortunately, he fails because the entire colony is surrounded by an electric fence. All the men rush off to catch the runaway. They find Daniel and send him back to the infirmary. Schaefer returns to Lena, but this time he doesn't beat her. Instead, he decides to give her a second chance. Several more months pass. A choir of young boys sings a religious hymn for Schaefer. The preacher then sends 3 of them to the shower and joins them himself. It's horrifying. The president himself is expected to visit Colonia Dignidad soon. The men and women prepare for a grand parade, put on their best clothes, and rehearse every step. At last, the presidential motorcade arrives. The residents of the colony enthusiastically welcome the honored guests. Lena finally spots Daniel in the crowd. He's behaving like a mentally challenged person, but she quickly realizes he's faking it. Lena manages to get close to her lover, takes his hand, slips him one of their photos, and arranges a secret meeting in the barn. Schaefer gives a solemn speech, and the president demands that the colony begin producing weapons and poisonous gas. In the evening, Lena is peeling potatoes when Daniel sneaks into the barn. At last, they can hug and kiss each other. Soon, the couple discovers a network of underground tunnels that might lead them to freedom. The problem is that guards are constantly patrolling the area. On top of that, the tunnel system is a vast maze filled with traps, strange machinery, and secret rooms. It seems this is the place where Daniel was tortured. Soon after, Schaefer summons Lena. Sitting among several men, he asks her to keep an eye on Nurse Ursula, suspecting that she might be planning to escape the colony. Lena talks to Ursula and learns that the harsh old woman Gisela is actually her mother. Meanwhile, Schaefer decides to test a new poisonous gas on Daniel. Ursula accidentally discovers the photo of Lena and Daniel and realizes that they're both spies. Daniel tells his beloved that they need to escape immediately. He gives Lena photo evidence of the crimes being committed in the colony and hides in the underground tunnel. Gisela brings Ursula to the barn to help Lena peel potatoes. It turns out Schaefer ordered Lena to spy on Ursula and Ursula to spy on Lena. What a cunning manipulator! Ursula confesses to Lena that she's pregnant, If anyone finds out, she'll be executed on the spot. Gisela returns to the barn and finds one of Daniel's photographs lying on the floor. She threatens to release the vicious dogs on Lena unless she admits where the photo came from. Daniel shows up and lies, saying he found the picture in the workshop. They let Lena go. On her way back to her room, she knocks Gisela out with a stick, finds Daniel, and the two of them run to the entrance of the tunnel. The alarm goes off all over the colony grounds. Everyone is searching for Daniel and Lena. The main characters find Ursula in the barn, and the three of them descend into one of the underground tunnels. They race through the labyrinth, trying to escape the colony. At one point, they must swim several meters underwater to get past an obstacle. Daniel and Lena manage to do it, but Ursula gets her clothing caught on a metal grate and nearly drowns. Daniel saves the nurse just in time. Eventually, they find an exit from the tunnel beyond the colony's perimeter, but it's not over yet. They still need to find a safe place. Ursula takes a few steps and triggers a hidden trap. Tragically, there's no chance of saving the poor woman. Daniel and Lena notice more traps scattered around. They're forced to crawl on the ground like snakes and then run through the thick forest. After getting to the road, the protagonists manage to flag down a car and drive straight to the West German embassy. Daniel presents the photographs he took inside Colonia Dignidad. They could seriously damage Pinochet's regime. Daniel and Lena are issued new passports, but they're not allowed to leave the country, as even the West German embassy cooperates with the local government. Desperate, Lena calls her friend, the pilot she used to work with on Lufthansa flights, and begs for his help. The man agrees to take them on his next flight. Daniel and Lena are brought to the airport, but instead of being checked in, they're locked in a small room. Soon, Schaefer and his men arrive at the airport. Fortunately, the protagonists manage to escape through a small window, make their way to the departure gate, and reach the plane by all means. Just as the door is about to close, they make it on board. The air traffic control and police order the pilot not to take off. Nevertheless, he defies the command and lifts the aircraft into the sky. Daniel and Lena are finally free.